Hello and welcome. This is the single linked list part 2. In this video, first I will talk about our goal, then I will do the implementation. Okay, the implementation will be creating a structure to hold information of a person. I will do generation of a ID. I will adapt the functions of the single linked list to have the information of a person too. Then I will adapt the console menu, and finally I will show you this working. Okay, so our goal is very simple. We have a single linked list with numbers and we want it to hold the information of a person. Okay, it will have an ID, the name of the person, and how many years the person have. First we will implement the data for a person. Like I said before, it will have the ID, the name, and the age. Let's see the structure. So the structure for holding the information of a person is very simple. We must say that type def struct data, and we call it data t, and inside we'll have a char pointer that is the name, an integer that is the age, and another char pointer that is the ID. So next we will create the function to create this structure. Okay, here we say that data t pointer new data, and inside we say data t pointer result is equals to malloc size of data t, and we return our result is just that. Then we create another function that will create this structure. This time we will have parameters. Remember, the first function doesn't have parameters, and this data structure have an ID, a name, and the age. Okay, so let's go here again and we say data t pointer new data, and it will receive char and integer underscore ct char integer char pointer name int age. Okay, the ID will be auto generated. Okay, and I'm doing this in this way because C doesn't allow us to do function overloading. Function overloading is having two functions or more with the same name, but the number of parameters is different. Okay, C doesn't allow us to do that. Okay, so I call this function in this way. Inside we say data t pointer result is equals to the new data. We are calling the first function, this one, and it will do this malloc of the data. Then we say result name is equals to the name that we received as a parameter, and the result age is equals to the age that we receive as a parameter, and then we return the result. The ID we will do later. Okay, so next we have to implement the delete function. Okay, we go here again and we say data void free data, and we receive a data t pointer that is the data that we will free, and we just call free the data. So let's see what follows. What follows is the ID generation, the second part. So we have an ID, and the ID have this text ID. Okay, and it will have a number 01, and then it will be 02 and 03 and 4. The declaration the first part, declaring the ID. We'll make here another section. I will call it ID, and declaring the ID is just _pointer ID equals to ID 00 is the first one that will be never used, is our template. Okay, so next is the incrementing the number. Well, we have this ID. Okay, it's actually a string, a _pointer, and we must do some magic to increment the number of this string. Okay, let's see. We have ID 00, that is our template, and this is a global variable. Let me copy and paste here the function. I have the right to be lazy too. Okay. I implemented this function in another video, and I will put the link for the video where I explain how I did this function in detail. Okay, here I will try to explain in the fastest way possible. Okay, so this function will receive this ID 00, and it will return another _pointer that is ID 01. Okay, first we declare the result and we get some memory for the string. Then we declare another string that is the number part of this string, the 00. Then we have this I that is actually the last index of the last letter. In this case is the D part. And in the for loop we will do two things. The first is getting the last index of the last letter, and the second thing is getting the number part of the string, the 00. Okay, so this for will do just that. Okay, it's very complicated. You see, after the for loop we must convert the number string into a real number, integer, and then we increment the number. Then we copy the ID part, okay, of the received parameter into the result, because this is the ID of the last letter. Okay, then we concat the two into the result 0 or nothing if the number is less than 10, because we need let me show you 01, 02, 09, and then 10, and so forth. Let me go again. Well, next is converting the number integer into a string again, and the last operation is adding the string of the number to the result string, and then we just return, go away. Okay, now that we increment the number with some magic, okay, it's time to generate the next ID. So in the code we say _pointer get new ID, and we call ID is equals and remember, let's go here up here, ID is a global variable. Okay, so I can call this variable here. ID is equals to increment number in ID, just that, and we return the ID. So the guy that will call this function will receive the next ID 01, and if it calls the function again it will receive ID 02, and so forth. Okay, so now we can generate our ID. If we go here to the new data, we can say result ID is equals to get new ID, just that. The next part is adapting the functions of the previous implemented single linked list. Okay, the first one is the new node. we must go here to the new node function, and also I need to adapt the structure. Okay, so instead of int data, we will have data t pointer. Okay, and then in the new node we need to have result data is equals to null. Just that. The next thing to do is the free node. Let's go here. In the free node we must add free data. We are calling the function of the data to free the data. So we say node data to free the data of the node. Okay, if you aren't seeing, is this function. We are calling this function to free our data. And I don't know if you remember, I said this function was strange in the first video because just add this line of code and we could call this directly. Okay, so this is the reason why I did this in this way, because now I have something more complex inside of the node and I must call the free of the data first and then we free the node. Instead of calling free data and free nodes in the, for example, in remove first, where I say free node, now I had to say free data and then free node. Okay, and because I have another function, I would have to change these again. Okay, I would have to change in two points of the code. Okay, and because I choose to reuse code in this way, I just had to add this line of code. Okay, this is very important. Reuse the code the most you can. So the next function to change is add first. Let's go here, add first. So before we were getting just an integer, now we are getting a char pointer name and an integer age. Okay, and instead of this node data equals data, we must call the function that I created with parameters. Let me see this function. Remember, the function that creates data that receives parameters is here the right place to use the function. Receives a name and a age. Okay, so here we are creating our data and it's just that. So let's move on. The next is add last, and the add last is actually very identical of add first. It will receive a name and a age. Okay, so copy and paste, and it will call the function that creates the new data with a name and a age. Okay, so instead of node data equals to data, now we have node data equals new data ci name age. Just that. I think is the final one is the print function. Well, the print, we just add this. Let me clear this, declare here a data t pointer that is our data is equals to head data, and the string will be something like id string name, another string, and the last thing the age is a decimal, and then we give new line. Okay, here the parameters will be data id, data name, and data age. Just that. What comes next? Adapting the console menu, and the first thing to do is adding a name and a age. Here, instead of int data, we will have a a char pointer, that is our name, and a integer age, just like that. The next thing is add first and add last. Add first and add last. We must here the first thing to do is insert name, and we will read to the name variable that we just declared. Read a line. Okay, this is a function that I have up here. Read line. This function, it just gets a line of text from the user input, just that. Okay, and what's to do next? The next thing is ask the user printf for the age. Insert age, just like that. The age is equals to read int, and instead of add first list data, we will call add first lists name and age, because we changed the function to receive a name and a age. For the add last is similar. Instead of this is this, and we will ask the user for the name and the age. Okay, I think it's everything cool. Next part, the demonstration. So let me copy the code and paste into the REPL. Let me run and also put this bigger to use for you to see. First list, the list is empty. The list is empty. Let's add first John 13. Let's add first again Peter 15. Let's print. We have the John, okay, ID 01, the Peter ID 02. Let's add last Vera 16. Let's print. We have the Vera is the last one and the ID is 03. Let's remove the first element. Let's print, and now the Peter is gone. Let's remove the Vera is the last one. Remove last. Print. Vera is gone. Okay, so what's next? In the next part, the part 3, I will implement the reverse, the single linked list. Okay, reverse all the elements, and I will do iterative and the recursive functions. Okay, so stay tuned. This is the end. So hope you like it, and see ya.